Now recording the January 29th, 2016 Small Business Accounting Advisors. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
So, what's been happening? A lot of exciting stuff on the East Coast this week. Sonic booms, Larry?
Yeah, sonic booms, snow, thunder, the whole bit.
I had a snowstorm that was the worst in 40 years here in Pennsylvania.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
That's serious over there. Oh, no.
It was, but ever since then, we have had like 36 to even up to 50 degrees weather.
Oh, wow.
So that is super unusual for this time of year. Normally, it's the coldest time of year for us. This is when we could get down to the single digits and sometimes even below. So this is really warm for this time of year. But the snow, we had so much snow that there is still piles and piles of snow out there.
Yeah.
Every day it's been above freezing, but we're still not melted out. So.
Yeah, we had plenty. We had a couple of feet here. But the thing is, as you say, on a normal winter, it would be a little colder, and we'd probably get another snowstorm on top of it, and then we'd really be stuck.
Having problems. Well, we're speaking too soon. We have
Yeah.
February and March to go, and sometimes some of the biggest snowstorms have actually been in April. So I remember an April Fool's snowstorm that I got stuck in.
We need the rain here in California.
We'll send it out your way if I could.
We had a drought last year and everything was brown. My grass died and everything because you couldn't really water. So now everything's going green again. All the hills are green.
Nice. You keep them green thoughts going for me. I can't wait till we can get there.
Dennis is probably getting all the rain up there.
That's true. Dennis could send it down to you.
Yep.
Okay. Well, do we want to talk? Let me see. Linda, we haven't had you on for a couple weeks, so you got lots to say this week, right? You're muted. I'm sorry. Let me see if we can unmute you. I didn't want your call.
Sure.
Here we go.
Got it.
Okay. So we're curious as to what happened with your success story.
I'm sorry?
Your success story.
Oh, my success story. This was the 44-year-old company that was doing $15 million gross a year, and they were tracking all their finances using Quicken 2012.
Imagine.
And, I gave them a price of $3,000 to move it over to QuickBooks and to get it working relatively accurately. They also use a program called Oak Street for all their AR and sales and inventory. And I have been able to do that. We're still off in a few places, but we figured out why we're off, and I'm going back. What happened is I didn't have all of the information when I started because I was working with one of four partners. And what they did is they divvied up the different jobs in the company among the four partners, and I never talked to the other three partners, so I really didn't know what they were doing. I only knew what the one partner was doing, so I missed quite a bit of information. But I'm now getting it, and they've extended my contract so that I have made $1,000 a month, just automatically paid on the 15th of every month since September, and they want me to continue that indefinitely.
Nice.
Real pleased about that, and within a month or two we're going to have everything accurate.
Nice.
It's just interesting the different things you have to take into account, because they would put things in called commissions AP, but they would call it an expense, and so then they would know to subtract that out of the year that it was actually paid in and put it back into the previous year. So I have it so it automatically does that now, because I enter a bill for that, and then when I pay the bill, if we have an accrual, it works out with an accurate report. Right. But what happened was they only wanted to do the very last year, and I had done 3 years. So what happened was they had the AP commissions from the year before, which I had not moved back by entering a bill. So I have to do it for all 3 years to make it accurate. Otherwise, they've got the AP from this year and the AP from last year.
And the year before, right.
So, and I hadn't had anything that was on the balance sheet either, but I have access to their balance sheet, so I can fill that in, and it's enjoyable working with them. And I've loved QBox, and it's perfect for them because one lady works out of her desktop computer at home to basically write checks, which is how they pay the bills, except for the last month of their year, which is January. Now we enter those bills and pay those bills. So that goes in an accurate place. Then the other man, he sometimes does work at his home in Fullerton, and he sometimes does work at the office, but he always does it on his laptop. So that works out fine. And I use both my desktop and my laptop. And I just love that it only costs us $9 a month.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
I'm sorry, if
That is so awesome. I love QBox. It's convenient, it's not expensive, and their support is awesome.
Absolutely. So, and I love it when they need to make an update, they send us a notice saying we're going to be down for figuring an hour. It's only 15 minutes, but they give you plenty of notice, and somebody found some problem, some glitch with the system, and they had it fixed within 24 hours.
Wow.
What other company do you know that when one of the big customers finds a problem, they jump on it so fast they have it fixed in 24 hours? I mean, it's unheard of, I think. So, yes, I love QBox, and I really enjoy working. I really recommend going to this client, Prodyne.com. They just keep coming up with the most innovative products, and they're inexpensive. And then when you go to their website to buy them, it just automatically puts you over to Amazon, and you just buy it, and it's all taken care of. And they have these they look like popsicles, and you can fill them up they're like a single popsicle kind of thing, and you fill them up with fruit, and then you pour water in them, and you put them in your freezer. It's like a plastic thing. And then when you go take your water bottle out to go around for the day, you have it with water, but you drop one of these ice popsicles full of fruit in it into your water bottle.
Nice.
It's like a giant ice cube, a giant popsicle size ice cube. It's really, they have lots of neat products like that. If you want to take a salad to a potluck, they have a salad bowl that's inside of an ice bowl. So it's really nice. It keeps your salad nice and chilled and cold.
Nice.
And none of these things are expensive. They're all very reasonable. So
Nice. Wow, looks like Joanne came on.
yeah.
Looks like she's in the
Here we are.
car.
Did notices not go out, Joanne?
Joanne, where's she?
Well, her picture's here.
Yeah.
It looked like she was in the car.
That could be. She could be in the car.
And I wonder if Debbie and Brandon are trying to get in. I see them on the.
Yeah, I'm wondering, can you try and send them event?
Yeah,
Can you go to invite and then click on, let me see, copy URL,
Yeah.
and you can paste it in the messenger.
Copy URL.
Thank you.
Okay.
Are we going to talk about HubDoc today?
We can talk about HubDoc. Mariette was one that had mentioned it. That's why I'm surprised she's not even on.
She might be doing tax return. More likely than not.
That's true. That's true. So yeah, HubDoc seems very interesting.
What's the benefit to the client? I mean, I can see how it benefits me, but
Well, that's what I was thinking too, as an accountant and someone that is maintaining a bunch of files. I could see how it would be great for me to get the statements automatically and not have to worry about that.
Yeah.
You know, but as far as the clients, would it benefit them? I mean, other than it would make my life easier.
Well, I guess what I understand is I like getting a free copy, but if their primary audience is accountants and bookkeepers, why aren't they charging the accountants and bookkeepers?
Well, you know what? They would be. Hi, Connie. Because you only get one account for free. So that means you get to do your stuff. If you have different clients, they all have to have their own account.
Oh, okay.
Got it?
So how
Okay.
much is it for each client like?
Like $20 a month,
That's still
$19.99.
very reasonable.
So for me to access their records, the clients have to pay $20 a month.
What
Right.
is this for?
HubDoc.
Oh, okay. I don't have a need for HubDoc.
I think the only way you could work that is roll it if you were doing, as Seth says, power pricing.
Yeah.
If you were to roll it into your monthly flat fee.
Right.
But then you would have to set all of your files up that way, and I would never be able to connect like Dropbox or anything like that because I have my
Right.
own system set up.
Without the security.
Well, no, Dropbox has the same security, I would think.
Oh, okay.
It's just that HubDocs, once you connect with the bank, you can automatically bring in statements. You don't have to actually log on to the bank account every month to get the statements. It automatically comes to you.
Right.
And if you're only doing that for one or two bank accounts, that's not too bad. But when you get like 20 of them you have to do, that's a little time consuming.
Yeah.
I think what I like about it is the fact that in addition to the statements, it also automatically gives you the CSV files
Okay.
for every single month. So in other words, as soon as I connected this one client's PayPal account, it gave me, I think, almost 2 years worth of the CSVs to be able to use, for like batch posting or whatever. And the one client that actually brought HubDoc to me is their intention is to use it as far as being proactive to entering their transactions into their QuickBooks file. So they're going to be forwarding emails right into HubDoc and taking pictures when they're on the road and sending it right to HubDoc so that that's going to be their folder. That's going to be their, like, Gina, where you use Dropbox, it's going to be HubDoc for them.
Right.
And it's all going to be all in one place. And then the end result of it all is the fact that you now have transactions inside of QuickBooks Online with the attached document right there.
Got it. And that is important too.
Yeah, I mean, it just, for them, they wanted it so that they could be able to track, be able to easily find things, that's the option that they want. So that's when I started having to, really look into it and get serious about it. And I've been playing with it this past week, and I can tell you, I'm very impressed.
Good.
But is it primary for the benefit of the accountant as opposed
No,
to
it's
the
both. It's both. The clients would, I think a client should want to have one place where they put all their stuff instead of just assuming that, everybody sets up on e-statements and nobody prints off their e-statements. Nobody downloads PDFs. You don't even have to think about it. It just comes into your HubDoc.
Right.
So
you don't have to waste the time to do all that.
So it's kind of a document management for the clients that they share with the accountant?
Correct. Well, or vice versa. Yeah, you basically set up with one account and then they add you to it and then you can see it right in your own account.
Okay, so the benefit to them is they could potentially save on filing costs and filing paper copies. Okay.
It's there permanently. And then to top it off, the push aspect of it is, say you have a client like Gina's that wants to keep everything permanently in Dropbox or Box or Share file. You can push everything from HubDoc right into that to have an extra copy of everything too.
So you get a redundant backup system then.
Yeah, another system for them to be able to get all that stuff in there and put it in one location.
And
Just in case.
can we invite members of our team onto that?
Yep.
That's great. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, you can add, I don't think there's a limit either. I think you can add add multiple, logins to be able to get into your own, your account or the, because I had to email Jamie because I asked him, I said, can a client add more than one accountant? Because I have a particular client who needs me and needs the bookkeeper.
Yeah.
That's a virtual bookkeeper. And he's like, oh yeah, no problem.
So
Once
the set,
somebody's paying for the actual link up to the HubDoc account, then I don't think they limit you on who can get in.
Yeah, they don't care. You pay them the $20. I think what it is, it's $20 a client, and you can choose. So you can choose to roll it in, like Seth said, or you can actually choose to have your client pay for it themselves. They can do that and add you. But the benefit of having you do it is that if you get more than, I think it's 5,
No,
then the
starts going
and the
down.
price goes down to 18, and then it goes down to, I think he said when you get up to 100, I think it goes to like $14 a month. So now you're starting to save, with volume.
My problem is in my entire client base, I can only use it for 3 clients.
Well, and here's the thing is that this is so weird, is that over the past 3 weeks, I picked up the one client who is using 0 with HubDoc, and then I have this other one who came to me who is using QuickBooks Online with HubDoc. So
So forget the bank statements. There's all kinds of other stuff you can use it for. So I wasn't thinking out of the box, really.
Now with HubDocs, can you download the files like you can with Dropbox?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Because that is one of the things that I tell my clients to do at the end of the year.
Mhm.
I have been trying to set up a virtual file cabinet for my clients. I tell them it's part of the value of what I do for them.
Mhm.
Keeping the vendor receipts, keeping the statements.
Hey.
What's happening, Connie?
Hi.
Hi. I saw a little bit of excitement happening there. What's going on?
Connie's sideways.
Yeah, and she's
Went
frozen.
into space, I think.
she was laughing. It was funny, whatever.
It was like maybe she was playing with an animal or something.
It sounded like a baby squeal to me.
A little kid, maybe a 2-year-old
it's
or
her.
something.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm there, and I'm thinking about doing it just for myself, just to know how to do it when the clients start coming, because I'm sure that they will. The fact that you have
it
to.
would seem like it'd be more of a younger generation would be interested in it. So it's using the phone all the time. And
Surprised though.
yeah,
Yeah, because I work, some of the nonprofits I work with, all these ladies are, 60 and up. It's really shocking me how some of them really just embraced all this technology.
Wow, nice. That's great. That's nice.
Yeah, nice for me.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I mean, I probably saw me on Facebook. I was, still, me, I always have lots of wishes. Like the one, like I set up my own HubDoc so I could play with it, and everything I had a login that Comcast and PayPal and all this. I just started, if I saw it on their list, I go, oh yeah, I have a login for that, and so. But over on the left, all those folders are getting really overwhelming.
That was part of my fear too, because
You
I have
need a way to collapse them, like on a normal
right.
tree of folders. I don't want to see every single.
And the other
Subfolder.
thing is, when you're talking digital files, you're talking a different way of looking things up.
Yeah.
Now, when you're talking paper files, you walk your butt over to the file cabinet, open a drawer, and thumb through things. Well, it's not like that with the digital. You have to have keywords and have things set up so that you can search easily for them.
Well, that's a whole discussion I was seeing lately where my husband and I were talking about that because they have a new document management system. And, for years and years and years, that's the way we think. We think of folder to folder piece of paper, files that we can go search for visually.
Yep, exactly.
Whereas this whole concept is keywords, and it doesn't matter what the file is named or whatever. It is a completely different.
so it's kind of like Evernote. It's just like Evernote with tags and that.
Yeah, exactly. So, you sort of get both worlds. Even in Evernote, I still have to have my little, I try to have folders and all that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I still want the folders though, Sarah.
I know, me too.
So
Me
horrible
too.
with search.
Me too.
I get my things go off into limbo and never to be retrieved again.
Well, and I look at it that way too. It's like in his tax and document management system, he should be able to search for all 941s for, regardless of who that, you get all kinds of extra
Exactly.
things like that. But I don't know. We're going to be old school especially ones of us who've been doing things a certain way for so long.
Right. But we'll have enough time to have that learning curve.
Yeah.
But it does take a different type of mindset, a different type of thinking.
Well, even on my iPad, I'm like, I will scroll through the pages looking for the icon to get into the little app that I want. And Mark's like, just pull it down and start typing. And I'm like, leave me alone. I have my way.
Well, I want to say the same.
Just search. And I'm like, no, I want to go look for it. Well,
Right. I want to say the same thing for QBO and their vendors and their customers search.
Yeah.
You start typing the letters and all kinds of things come up. I want the ABC, the alphabet bar.
I
know. To N and scroll through the end.
Yep.
I have asked for that as feedback, but there's such a big divide between the developers and us, and they don't understand that not everybody has all the latest and greatest devices.
Yeah.
And all devices display differently. You don't see the same thing across the board.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, since I've been laid out, I'm on my iPad more than sitting in front of my desktop. So,
Right.
yeah, you start looking around and you go, I got to be on my desktop to do this. Or
Right, exactly.
Well, for instance, just in Facebook, if I'm on, one of our favorite little Facebook groups, if I'm in through a browser or on my desktop, I'll see the search bar on the top right,
Mm-hmm.
But if you're using a Facebook app, that's not there.
Right. Oh, exactly.
Yeah, little things like that.
And it makes a big difference when you're trying to use it and you know how to use it, but the thing you're expecting to see is not there. So, yeah.
I had a weird thing with QBox about an hour ago.
Uh-oh, what happened?
Well, we've got a couple straggler 1099s for some bands from a little nonprofit. And I thought, well, I'll just pop over to one of my other nonprofits. And I bet you we've got some 1099s filed over there, because really a W-9 is a W-9. But,
Right.
and I go into QBox and the TLG is there locked because they're in it, but my QBW file wasn't there. So I called him and I said, please tell me you're in QuickBooks. And she goes, yeah. And I'm like, okay. So she got out, synced it. I can see it up in the cloud or on the QBox,
Right.
up there. But mine keeps saying the sync won't work or the sync won't work. So I got it on hold with support. And then I watched a QBW file come in that said QBox copy or something. I've never seen that one.
How did you lose your file off of your...
Mine was gone, and that really it's also that's my local copy. It's also my QBox account. So, you start thinking about that. Our client can they nuke their QBW file and then I lose mine? I guess that's true. Well, we always have 10 versions of
Yeah,
them.
you have to ask about that because I would think no would be the answer.
So then I got this weird, it was a QBW file, but it said the type was like QBox copy something.
Huh.
And then I'm glad I was on hold a while because then I'm looking at it and all of a sudden I had it. So
yeah, something was happening in the background there.
Burped.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You'll need to call Chris or one of the guys there.
Yeah, but I think it's fine now. But
Good.
give me the willies there for a minute.
Yeah, I bet. I bet. Well, we have to have Chris back on our demos. I'm thinking in April.
Yeah.
Talk
Well, they're doing a lot of work on this, the whole group folder idea.
Okay. I
And
want
then,
to talk about document sharing
oh, yeah. Yeah.
on QBox. Although this whole HubDoc or QBox, or I want one place to put them, not 15. I don't want to have Dropbox. I don't want to have Evernote. I don't want to have HubDoc. I want one place that works for everyone. And I don't want to keep changing up my clients.
My
That's the
files are
other thing.
everywhere. They're everywhere.
Yep, exactly.
Or, you know, I play with this and play with that. And
Yeah, it's kind of hard because there's so much overlap on some of these. You know,
Yeah.
try to keep
Exactly.
everything straight as to what's what.
well,
Now-
now, since we're going to, I keep saying we're going to. If I say that anymore, I'm just going to throw up. I've been trying to finish migrating to things since I swear April, but we will eventually get on Office 365. So when you're in that environment, they want what is it, OneNote, or
Oh, right.
they've
Office.
got their own drive, and I'm like,
Yeah, they default to their
Right.
OneNote or I can't remember the name of the folder.
depends on whose bed you're in. It's like
Yeah,
there's
I
the
think it's called
Microsoft
OneDrive.
bed, and there's the Google bed, and there's the, so
Apple.
yeah, Apple bed. So,
What did you say, Joanne?
I said, I think it's called OneDrive. That was my
Yeah,
biggest.
That's right. OneDrive.
I
Yeah.
cannot stand that. And that's why I'm like, I am forcing myself to use, because I'm actually, I prefer the Google.
mhm.
I prefer the Google documents and Excel and stuff now, because I'm just so sick of being forced to have to click every single time because they want you to always save it to the OneDrive, and I don't want to save it to the OneDrive, so I just bypass it. And I told myself that if I could go this tax season with just using Google Documents and Spreadsheet, I am just going to cancel Microsoft and say goodbye.
Yeah.
Part company.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, Windows 10 wants to make Edge the default browser and all that.
Of course they do. You know what? People are tired of being bullied around. I am tired of being bullied.
Well, Microsoft still thinks it's the mid 90s.
And Linda, you have a Windows 10 story.
Yeah, I have a client and I went and reconciled all of their bank accounts for 2015. We do them quarterly. And I got that done on January 13th. And just the beginning of this week, he went and installed Windows 10. Because every time he turned the computer on, he'd say, whoa, you better install Windows 10. There's not much time left, you know.
Don't-
Yeah, so you went ahead and did it.
Don't
Yeah.
do it. Don't do it.
And he couldn't
Great if the client pulls the trigger.
He was running QuickBooks Pro 2012. So
Well, you can
today
reverse
I
it.
upgraded him to 2016. But
So what wasn't working? Because I'm hearing conflicting things that it still works fine with 14. What exactly broke?
well, it might work fine with 14. I don't know. He was using QuickBooks Pro 2012, and he could not print checks in.
Oh, 2012 is sunsetted and really old. Yeah.
Well, I know.
Okay. But
I'm
I'm going to hold out.
2012 was when we upgraded him. I didn't want to put him to 2013.
Right.
I never loaded 2013 on any of my.
Yeah, I think that's the year I skipped over too.
That was the year that they went to the black, and everybody was having headaches and epileptic seizures. And
Oh, yeah. I remember that. Nancy had a hard time with her eyes.
it took us 6 months to convince them.
Yeah, I remember that.
Well, here's the thing. If I go to, here's the other problem that Mark and I are going, because we're about to set up virtual workstations and all this stuff on my new server, and we're looking at the licensing for Office has just gotten so stupid. But if you're on something like 365, you don't have a choice when you go to the new version. They just shove it down your throat and you're on the new version. Office 16 comes out, and another program that you use that isn't ready for 16, like, Intuit won't be, then I don't want to be bullied, perfect word, Gina, into upgrading all my software when it's perfectly good. Like Intuit, I'm going to nurse 14 until 17.
Right. Right.
So I don't want to have another change in some other program that's going to force me to then force all my clients to upgrade, So Mark's trying to figure it out where we get a license where we control what version we're on.
Well, that's good, because when I bought QuickBooks 2016, and I bought it at Amazon, and it was funny because I bought it on Tuesday when I was at a different client's, and
Yeah.
it was $200.
Uh-huh.
When I bought QuickBooks Pro
Where'd she go? She logged out.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
2016.
so I don't know.
It's probably that one.
Try to go back and repeat the last two
Yeah,
sentences.
you froze there
Approved.
for a bit,
So-
Linda. We have no idea what you said.
It's a Windows 10 problem.
Yeah, when you bought 2016, what happened, Linda?
Uh-oh.
She's got a weak signal again. Well, I'll tell you one thing, and Linda, if you can hear us, use an IRP. Don't go to Amazon, because we can get this stuff for cost. A bunch of us are IRPs.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, there's a chat. Clicky click. I'm sorry, I'm on very good drugs. All right.
That's okay. So we're gonna need a little laugh here, Dennis. Tell us your story of what's been happening with you and your daughter.
Oh, you didn't hear? My daughter is taking an accounting 101 class now.
Uh-huh.
And so I've been sort of helping her. And I would explain debits and credits. And so finally she said to me, says, seriously, is this what you really do for a living? And I said, well, yeah, kind of. She says, oh, I'm also sorry. I'm so sorry for you.
That's funny.
And
Yeah.
I just say, but don't you like puzzles? to me, accounting is just a bunch of puzzles. That's how I got into it.
I just say it's it's a language of business. How are you going to play the game if you don't know how to keep score, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Some people get it and some people don't. Some people are good with numbers and they just understand naturally. Some people struggle with it.
See, I'm not a real big numbers person, if that seems weird.
I'm not either.
I'm more of a puzzle person.
But you have an understanding of what happens to the numbers behind the scenes.
Yeah, I have a big picture. This affects that.
Right, exactly.
If you don't have that type of a brain, then yeah. If you're only concentrating on it and not them, that makes sense. Am I making any sense?
Well, when I studied accounting, it never made sense to me until I was trying to assign some sort of intrinsic meaning to debits and credits. And when I realized they had no intrinsic meaning, they were just placeholders.
Right.
Yep. What's the definition of a debit?
You call them doo-ops and crew-ops. I mean, it's like,
I call them it depends on who I'm training. I'll say, okay, this one's a basketball and this one's a football. Because it's just, this is different than that, and it's the opposite.
and I just tell them to think of equity, income expense is just a subset of equity. And the same rules apply for increasing and decreasing equity with, income expenses. So
Now you lost me already.
Yeah, see, I try to keep it simple with cash.
You just scared me off there, Dennis.
sorry. I'm not a very
Follow
good
the
explainer.
cash. Let's
Yeah.
follow the cash. We can
I say
save
follow
what's
your,
happening.
if you can follow your checkbook and money goes up and down.
Money goes in and money goes out. That's the two
That's
things
the
that happen
easy
in your
thing.
checkbook.
And then your P&L is we all like money. We all like making money and spending money. So that,
Right?
you try to not be scared of that. And then if you show them how the P&L plugs into the balance sheet.
And the balance sheet is, the balances.
Yeah,
basically.
but then, I showed them like the real simple chart of accounts, and it's easier to do it in front of them. And then I'll fold it in half, and I'll say, okay, this bottom piece adds up to a certain number, and that plugs into the top. And these are my two reports, But I start off with a chart that says whatever number is in this list, it's all going to net to zero at the bottom. So everywhere there's one number, you're going to have a number going the other way. So it always nets to zero.
Yep.
And then, and quit being afraid of is it a debit or credit? Then the checkbook always makes sense because everybody's, at least has money coming in and out. So I start showing it that way. And
Light bulbs start popping.
Yeah, because a debit and a credit, people think that see the plus and the minus, and they think increase and decrease, and it just doesn't work that way.
No.
Well, plus, people have bank accounts. When their bank account credits your account, it increases it. But on your side,
Yeah, so you cannot, if they're just learning, they cannot get hung up on the plus and the minus, and they cannot be hung up with the word debit and credit. It's pretty much
right.
$100 one way and $100 an hour, so it nets to zero, and then start putting the puzzle together. And then it's one of those things where, like when I was tutoring so much, I tutored the whole time I was in college, which is really good because then you end up doing the homework like 4 and 5 times. And that really, and with accounting, that's the best way to learn is just do it.
I
But,
think you're right. With accounting, the best learning is just do it.
Well, it's interesting with her class, it's all online. And so the problems are online, and it tells you. And sometimes the questions are kind of tricky because, if it's an accounts payable, you'd say one thing. If it's a cash sale or if it's a cash expense, then it go the other way. And sometimes the questions don't really give you the context, and so you.
Yeah. Right.
But I know where my head was going when I was tutoring. You just sort of get the dough in the headlight, type thing. And then when all of a sudden the light bulb goes off and they get it, that's a cool feeling.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
But there are people that are
if you can't get past 101 debit and credit, you might as well hang it up because it goes 100 miles an hour from then on.
Yeah, that's kind of the foundation.
Yeah.
I've had clients that really should never have been trying to do their books. They're very artistic, and especially starting out, they're great at what they do, but they're that side of the brain. They are not a numbers kind of person, and they should just hire out for that.
But if you watch these QBO ads, that's how I own it. You wouldn't even know you need to know how to do accounting by watching their ads.
Oh, yeah. We actually had a little bit of a conversation between Walls and Maine about that. But we can only do what we can do is what it comes down to. We can only help those that want to be helped. If they don't, they're not going to be. And that's one of my hard QuickBooks cleanup problems that I had to learn. You go into somebody and I just recently had this. Every part of their accounting system was wrong. The balance sheet was filled with negative numbers. Accounts payable were negative. Accounts receivable were negative. They were creating invoices, receiving payments, and then downloading them from the bank statement. I mean, creating bills, and not paying them, writing checks.
Yeah.
So
must have made for an interesting tax return.
Well, I don't even know how they did their taxes. I really don't. And they come to me and they say, there's a problem with my chart of accounts.
Yeah, it's the chart's fault.
Little do they know.
Well, I figured they need help, so I'm going to try and sent them exactly what I saw and what I think a method of getting back to normal is. And, all they're seeing is dollar signs and getting freaked out about that. So if you don't want to change, you'll continue to get what you get. If you want to change, you'll have to do something. It will take some sort of pain, some sort of way, but you need to change to get a different result.
Well, unless you're independently wealthy, you're
and there are people around here like that too, Dennis.
Or making money in spite of yourself. You probably won't stay in business indefinitely.
I have quite a few women who their husbands make enough money that
so
they don't need
it's kind of a hobby then. In a
so
sense.
it's kind of a hobby. They're not wanting to sit home and not do anything. They have a little passion about something. Like one of them was SAT test. One of them liked tutoring and helping the kid, and they really didn't care if they made money or not. I get all excited and say, "Here's the reports. Here's the profit and loss. This is what you should be looking at."
They don't care. They're like, it's just one of those things that I have to do to get my taxes out.
Yeah. Where am I going to fit that in my schedule to be looking at that all the time? How do you answer that? I don't know what to say.
Well, you know what? Then it is just a tax engagement. As long as they get what they need for their tax return, they're happy.
So, yeah.
The ones that kill me are the ones that should really be looking at their.
Everyone that has a business should be looking at their financials.
Oh, yeah, for you and I. Yep. But you know what? I wanted to talk. Between getting sick last year and stuff, that was I'm so anal and filed, and my checkbook's always caught up. And I swear to God, I never even made 2015 files for me. I had a box.
Oh, wow.
I'm like an accountant's nightmare. And then it wasn't until towards the end of the year I looked and I went, oh my God, I haven't reconciled my checkbook since November 2014. Then I started to go to import stuff, and then I was past the.
It's kind of like the mechanic whose car is always out of tune.
I know. Wait, it's funny. Sometimes life just kicks you in the butt, and I did it one other time, 97, when I was going through a divorce, and that's just one of those years that you just box it up.
Yeah. And you know what there, Sarah? If you have that stuff digitally, at least you have it some way.
Exactly.
So this is when you start realizing that, you know what, we could do this.
But then I did miss some things, like some important things, like SunTrust. I have everything paid online or automatically, and all the stuff is so automated, and you think you're running fine. But if you don't look, SunTrust had burped and was not sending my mortgage. and then my business SunTrust burped and wasn't sending me. I just told it to have a flat monthly paycheck. So I just set up an automatic wire, into my personal account. And it hadn't worked in like 3 or 4 months.
Wow.
I just happened to open and glance at one of my bank statements, and I'm like, wait a minute, those figures really don't look healthy.
Why am I overdrafted?
Man, I'm glad. Well, here's the thing. The savings accounts and money market, the interest is so crappy. What's the point?
Right. Well, let's talk about banking a little bit, because I think that there was something that happened in the banking industry, and all of the banks upgraded their sites. It seemed to me that they all did it around the same time, and there were burpings happen all over the place.
All over the place, yeah.
That had problems.
Well, what saved me was I have been keeping cash in checking accounts, when probably in the old days I would have been squirreling that money off into other accounts to make interest. So my checking account is really savings and operating. So, but the thing is, you get lazy in that, you don't worry about the balance getting too low. But that's what saved me. But boy, if that had gone in any longer,
you would have been paying hundreds of dollars.
Well, the phone call from PNC Mortgage, that lady upset me.
Oh my goodness.
She's here to do a debt collection. I'm like, excuse me, Sarah Laidlaw does not have debt collections. I'm sorry. And so she was right, but what really irked me is no warning, no, hey, by the way, we haven't gotten your mortgage, but they wait until it's good and late. Then they hit you with a $50 late fee. Then they want $7 for you to draft it right then, And then when I finally realized that it wasn't them, it really was on my end. Fine, take your money, whatever, we'll fix it. But then when she took off, I guess they have a little checklist of the stuff they have to discuss with you or something. And so she starts talking about if I need credit counseling.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm like, stop. And of course I'm in bed,
Right.
In pain. And so I'm really not in a pleasant mood anyway. But then I'm like, stop. Don't you go there. And of course she kept talking.
Oh my goodness.
And all this stuff because I have bad credit and, and I don't know how to pay my bills or something. It's like, that was the wrong thing to say to me. Oh God, that poor lady. And I kept saying, I'm not angry with you personally. I'm angry at the process. But if you keep talking, you're going to get the brunt of my.
Right. It's best to end this conversation now.
But then again, if I had my books caught up, this wouldn't have happened. So, but 2016 is a new year.
That's how I'm looking at it.
Yeah, we're just gonna
be better.
shove 15 in a box and move on.
Box it up and move on. I'm with you. Who's the vet? We lost a vet. We wanted to talk to the vet about bank feeds. She was having problems with bank feeds.
Having to go to classic mode in the desktop version.
Oh, really?
That the easy mode is not working properly anymore.
Express. I think.
Express. Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't use the right term. But
I'm
I've
sure,
never, pardon?
I'm sure they're not devoting a lot of resources to the desktop now in terms of making fixes and.
Right, exactly. Especially for bank feeds or any other. I think that's what the problem is with the desktop now. Any other type of syncing just is not as good as online.
Yeah.
And even online has been having some problems with the banks and getting information in. Double entering things, more than one transaction coming in. I think Joanne was saying that she had someone that were missing transactions that would come in, and a couple of the transactions, like one of the smaller banks that I have, it's very slow bringing the transactions in. But she said that they would stop at like the first and then not bring them in again until the fifth, and nothing in between.
Oh, I hate those.
You know, that's very, very hard to deal with and know what you need to put in. I mean, that makes reconciling at the end of the month twice as long. You know, if you have 25 transactions, it's easy to deal with that. But if you've got a bank account that's got 150, oh my gosh, what a job.
Or if you have a credit card that has 900 to 1,000 transactions.
Holy mackerel. Yeah.
That's a lot of transactions. That person has to be flicking their credit card out or have multiple people on their.
Yeah. Do it online.
Yeah.
Definitely a case for HubDoc there.
For sure.
By the way, somebody said something about the Microsoft 365. Does that work well with all versions of QuickBooks, as far as you know?
Well, right now I'm on the version that I downloaded it to my Office 2013 to my desktop. Not using it, up in the cloud, so everything's fine.
Yeah, the cloud version is kind of.
When we go to 365, which will be on that Exchange server, and it still should be fine. All of my workstations are on Office 2010, which is fine. And there isn't any, there's some cool features in 13 that, not enough for me to go buying new versions. But once I go to 365, I'm on that. I got to buy it. I got to buy everybody's subscription.
Right.
So that's one of the reasons I've been dragging my feet. But my worry isn't so much getting everybody to because everybody will be migrated to 13 is when 16 is already out, actually. So
yes.
I don't.
Nisha.
No.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Am I echoing or anything? Let me know and I'll put my headphones on.
No, you're doing good. I think Zoom is like having some problems today.
Oh dear.
Yeah, Connie on for a little bit. Wanted to talk to Connie about her country line dancing that she's got going on. Joanne was here for a little bit, spoke a little bit, and then she disappeared. Yvette's gone.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I'm not sure.
I actually had a client stop by. Actually, it's a friend, but new client. So
nice.
We're talking, and I'm like, okay. So I got to make a deposit in the bank.
That's awesome. So it's always great when the end story is I got to make a deposit.
So how's everybody doing?
Lovely.
Good.
Awesome.
Hey, what Office do you use? Misha, Office 365 or?
2010.
Yeah. It works fine.
It works perfectly.
Yeah, we're talking about this whole subscription model to all these programs are just.
Well, I got Office 365 now, and you get the desktop version thrown in. The thing was, I had it like for one person, and I got like the Office 16 or the Desktop 16.
Oh yeah.
And then I decided I wanted to go to the 5 user and get access and get Power Pivot.
Yeah.
But then they put me back on Office 2013 for the desktop. And I think it's going to get upgraded in February, but I had to step back, and I thought, well, that's all right.
But are you having any trouble with 16 in QuickBooks? Or were you?
I wasn't really integrating 16 with QuickBooks. I mean, in terms of like using forms or sending stuff to Office through QuickBooks.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
Well, I'm just talking about, like, I know the report writer, but I never use the report writer, so I don't care.
Yeah,
but
I never
if I'm just simply in QuickBooks and I want to export to Excel.
I wasn't really having any trouble with that.
Yeah. See, I don't see the big deal about, it being a problem, but, when Intuit says we don't support it, I think that's just their marketing to, scare you into upgrading.
I tried Office 365 through GoDaddy.
Yeah.
And well, no, not through GoDaddy. I tried it right through Microsoft. I was just going to try it with my one email, and then I realized it automatically connected my my web domain.
Well, yeah, you gave them control over your web domain, yeah.
Right. So, and I didn't realize, like, I needed, for every single email I had on my web domain, I needed a subscription. So it was $4.95.
Yeah.
$4.95 for. I would have had to pay $4.95 per user for every single one of those.
Aliases, because of like everybody, all my employees are on the ASBinc.net domain, but I also have all these emails. Like I gave clients, like I'll do, the client initial at ASB Inc. And so if we're setting up stuff like, their electric bill and stuff, that was our easy way. We just send the statements and notices right to their own email. Probably shouldn't have done that, but the client didn't want them. And so what we'll do is Office will let us do aliases. So I can log in as Sarah at ASB Inc., but I can email in and out with multiple other email addresses. For instance, if I'm doing a support email for TBX, I'll have a support at ASB Inc.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't have to pay for a license for all of those because they're all following as aliases they follow underneath Sarah.
Right. Well, mine wasn't set up that way. So that's why I got locked out. There was a point, almost a day, where I couldn't access any of those emails.
Yeah. And now then again, I got the Office 365, and it's loaded on my workstation, and I'm not up in the cloud. And so right now I haven't lost any ability other than I got 2013.
Well, one thing I noticed about Office 365, the cloud version is not as robust as the desktop, at least in Excel.
Well, don't you have both? Don't you have one local?
Well, it seems to, the desktop is obviously on my desktop, but the cloud version, I have to log into that separately. I downloaded the desktop onto my computer, and then.
Yeah, I don't want to work up in the cloud normally.
Yeah. Well, like for example, it has like Power Pivot on the desktop, but on the cloud it doesn't have that.
What's Power Pivot?
Think of it. Are you familiar with databases like Access?
Yeah, a little bit.
Think of it as having an Access or a SQL database in Excel, because you can have like millions and millions of rows in Power Pivot, and you can link tables like you do in a database in Excel. And so I used to do Access for about 8 or 9 years. I got pretty good at that. And it's very, so the functionality is very similar to Access in terms of, you can have a lot more records, a lot more information. It's really more a function of the memory. Yeah. I just say it's like having a SQL database in Excel.
See, I don't know why I would ever need that. Are you working with investments or something? Or
it would be it's really more of I guess I'd say a corporate kind of, if you've got large amounts of data, it would be, because Excel tools for analysis are a lot more powerful than say like a database like Access.
Okay.
Sarah got her smart sheets. I don't think you're ever moving off of smart sheets.
Well, yeah, I was thinking this afternoon. Boy, that'd be so cool if my smart sheets could link up to HubDoc or to Bill.com.
Well, I'd like it if smart sheets could have, if you could save your filters. Like, for example, what I've been doing is I've been prioritizing my returns and then doing a filter and then working from that as kind of like a to-do list. And then I've just kind of filled in manually what priorities it's going to be for that day. And then I just change it when I finished working on it. But it'd be nice if I could do like an OR query where I'd have two separate sets of data combined as a filtered data set and then be able to save it. So I wouldn't have to, because like you can't do that in Smartsheet. At least I've tried and I couldn't figure out how to do it. You know, like when you save a filter, it'd be nice if you could have filters highest or high or medium high or whatever, rather than have, if you want to do it, you'd have to basically send them both to Excel and then combine them in Excel. And it wouldn't be, it'd just be it wouldn't be dynamic. It'd be just kind of like a fixed.
Okay, well, we are about out of time. Is there anything that anyone would like to talk about before we close up shop here? I'm not sure that we had everybody on that wanted to come on. Connie was on for a little bit, but
I wonder if that's just internet.
I'm not sure. Mariette was here for a little bit.
Misha had to go, or not Misha. Yvette had to go.
Sarah just sent a note. She said, I'm sorry to miss this one. She had a lot of HR items to take care of.
Okay.
Who's MF?
Coming.
MFMEA?
That's Mariette.
Oh. Hi, Mariette.
She had a training.
She's listening.
Okay.
She left because she had a training.
Yeah. Okay. Well, next week is our 17 hats with Joanne.
Good.
And we'll be demoing. We expect to see Donovan and is it Jason, the other person? Do you know? No. At least Donovan. And Mariette is supposed to be at the office with Donovan. So yeah, join us for that. That'll be lots of fun. It's how 17 Hats integrates with QuickBooks. So if you have any questions, put them in the event on the Facebook page, and we'll make sure that we get them answered.
Sounds good.
You know what I wanted to say, Sarah? The fellow that was on this morning demoing HubDocs
Jamie?
said if you have another piece of software that you need to integrate with that.
He said on Facebook that he was really I like proactive and involved programs that are have a commitment to improving and adding features, and I'm getting that from him.
Yeah, he said he'll work with you. Just call him up and see. You know.
And after talking to him earlier, and what's the other one? Ledger something.
Ledger Docs.
Maybe Ledger Docs. It is a very complex procedure to hook up a bank.
Yeah.
And they're having a hell of a time with SunTrust. The one thing that I wanted to find out, I need to know best practices. I'd like to be warned about a couple of things. I hate bumping into things and then going, in front of clients. When we hooked up my SunTrust, in came my personal bank account.
Oh, God.
And that is because now with my business account, it wasn't an easy thing to do. I had to fill out papers and sign everything in order to link my business with my personal. And I wanted it that way so I had one login where I could very easily just move money from a business SunTrust to a personal SunTrust. So I guess it's a little unique that my login would have personal in it. But, it was my own HubDoc, and then it came, and I thought, oh, okay. Handy, but I sure as hell don't want that to happen on a client. Sure enough,
It did.
we're having trouble with the Wells Fargo.
And I bet you would with Bank of America too.
Well, what happened with the Wells Fargo is when I set it up, I used my login, which I am I guess I have my own guest user login or something.
Right, right.
So I used mine and everything came in beautifully except for the 2 main checking accounts. And that's because they used to have some weird security, this horribly expensive plan where every time you wrote checks, you had to tell the bank what checks you just wrote or they wouldn't cover them.
Oh,
Very expensive, a pain in the ass, and bounce checks all the time, right? Because they
I'm
would.
sure.
Okay. Well, it's been turned off for a couple months because we got them onto Bill.com and they're happy with the security and approving there. So we don't need all that, right? So, but some switch was still thrown on the bank side, which was preventing HubDoc from getting those statements. So we're still trying to figure that out. So I was online in a Zoom and I said, why don't you just use, I said, just go into the setting. I was, we were doing it together. I said, take off my login information and put your own, thinking she's the owner of the account and I might get a different result. First account comes flowing in is her and her husband's bank account.
Ah,
And you can't stop it. I mean, it's like,
right.
you can click on the folder and delete the folder, but until it brought in the whole 18 months, it was not done. And
Right.
checks are flying up right in front of me. I'm just like, you gotta be kidding me. She was so upset. She wanted to pull all the bank accounts off of HubDoc.
Oh,
So I'm like, well, give us a chance, So we finally got her. Once her personal is, we actually disconnected it before I even got a chance to see if those checking accounts would work. But hey, people, if we're going to be implementing this with clients, I can't be the only one having this problem. And
right.
I need to know what questions to ask. Do I tell
So
a client, okay, I think the way it's supposed to be designed is the client links that you don't, and that way you're not privy to their password. I just happened to have some logins, so I was setting it all up myself.
Right.
The question to the client is, does this login also include personal accounts?
Right.
And what can we do at your bank level to get a login that doesn't include your personal account? I don't need to figure that out while I have the client in front of me and their personal checks are.
Right. Exactly.
So I wanted to ask him about that, but we'll get there.
I think the other thing is, if you purchased the subscription for your clients,
Yeah.
because they said if you want to be a partner or whatever they called it,
Right. I am. Yeah.
then if you get so many customers on, then the monthly fee drops.
It's like a whole $1.
Right. But the thing is, what happens if you got it down to whatever, 14 a month or something, and then you lost a few customers and then the price.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, that's ugly.
I
Yeah,
think
that's
it
ugly.
recalculates that bill. Oh, I did learn one thing. When I hooked up one client on one day, I immediately got the bill for the $20, right? And then I hooked up another client the next day and I didn't get a bill. So I don't know where it was in the cycle, but it wasn't until the next month's bill came in that then the new ones were included.
Ah. So you wanna pick whatever day of the month
Yeah, I know. I was like, man, I want to do
on
that.
the other end, right?
Yeah, the day afterward.
But like I said,
Yes.
unless I use it for things other than their bank account, I only have 3 clients that are on Wells Fargo, Bank of America, or Central.
Hmm.
Everybody else is a regional or a local bank that's not on the list.
Yeah.
And
It's
like the
that's-
guy at Ledger Docs was telling me, it's a good 8-hour, 16-hour engineering time to hook up a bank account.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, so it's very time consuming and labor intensive to give us these banks, but they're, what are they? A Canadian company?
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll take them a while, but then as soon as one of the banks changes the way their login is, breaks all that, they have to start all over.
Yeah.
So
That's HubDoc?
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So interesting times, interesting tools here.
Well, you'll have to keep us informed on what's happening with your banking problems and HubDoc.
Yeah.
I have a quick question.
Go ahead.
Anybody on QuickBooks Online? I have a bank that Okay, I have a local bank that issues a credit card, but I pulled in the client's credit card, a business credit card, into QuickBooks Online, but it's coming up blank. And the bank says that it's a third-party credit card company that doesn't know it's
So
on.
they just might not be compatible.
But that's the thing. The credit card, when I pulled in the banking, all of the banking came in because he just did business stuff with this bank. So it's not, has nothing to do with personal. So it's 2 business credit cards with this bank, and they're pulling in. I have them in QuickBooks Online, but it's not pulling in the transactions.
Ooh.
It pulled in the account, but it's not pulling in the transaction.
Pulled in an account meaning what? If it's not transaction, what did it pull in?
Meaning it pulled in and it has a 0 balance. They didn't bring in any of his.
You're going to have to do the CSV and import them. Or,
Oh yeah, I was going to ask you that. In desktop, I can go out to a bank and just get the either the QuickBooks download file or a CSV.
Right, but this is a credit card.
Same thing.
It's a credit card. I don't even know who the credit card company is, because usually when a bank has a credit card, they'll give you send you to the bank site where you can do everything. But
Well, it's a separate login. It's always
this credit card
Yeah.
is attached to his bank account.
Does he have a login for the his credit card?
That's the thing. It's all on. He gets paper statements, and I think it's all
All through the bank.
on his bank account. But when I pulled in, because everything from the bank came through, so I got 4 accounts that came through from the bank automatically, but the 2 credit cards are blank.
They don't have. Yeah, they don't have it configured right now.
no, they don't have it set up with the bank.
So apparently he called them and they gave him a link to the credit card company, and he then said that there's some file or something. So I need to figure out what it is. But I was just curious.
And you know what? As much money, I mean, once these things start getting automated, we're supposed to save time and all that. With all this, when I think of the hours I have in this, and you can't bill anybody for all this.
Oh, I know.
When I think of the hours I spend configuring software and looking at software, it's just crazy. It's like, am I really making money on this? on all this online stuff?
You know what happened? I know you want to quit, but I just, you know what happened one time, and this is quite a while back, so maybe it's all changed now, but had an employee that, well, I can't remember if it was an employee or a contractor, but they wanted direct deposit, but their bank was really a credit union, and it turned out that their account numbers were prefixed with alpha characters, so it was alphanumeric beginning.
Oh, so
And with the direct deposit, at least at that time, they wouldn't accept alphanumeric characters, had to be all numeric. And boy, it took a while to get to the bottom of that. Meanwhile, the guy is really ticked because he's not getting paid.